interest, not theirs. In this group, most of them are 20 years experience or more. And so you can find out more by going to aprgi.com, aprgi.com, and you'll find the best profession you can find. And my mic just got really loud all of a sudden. That's weird. Okay, technical difficulties.
It's usually probably your headphones.
Oh.
Yeah, so
There we go.
because you sound normal to us.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
no.
You just look normal.
All right, so let's jump into it. We have a great group of individuals. Of course, we mentioned Steve Korn, owner of New Hall Escrow, one of the busiest escrow companies in town, which it lends a lot of value. I mean, he sees a lot of transactions, sees what works, what doesn't work, what's happening, and all that good stuff. And then along with that, we have a great experienced team that is very passionate about what they do. They care about what they do, and they're accountable to you right here in Santa Clarita. And that is the HomeTeamSold.com team. I have to say that. So they go to HomeTeamSold.com, and they will find Marcella Puettmann, Shannon Travis, and Mark Odell. What a great team. Thanks for joining us again.
Well, thank you for having us again.
All right. So before we get into the markets, what's happening right now, one thing that we want all of you to understand is the value of a team that is all about customer service. And it's easy to be enamored by some big teams, which a lot of the big teams do a great job. But I like the approach, Marcella, that you and Shannon and Mark have. It's called accountability. And you're going to hear that on our show a lot. A lot of you have listened to our show for 4.5 years. Our number one thing is accountability. Accountability to our team at Skyline Home Loans, accountability to America's Professional Resource Group, and to the show. And you guys talk all about it being accountable to your clients.
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is seeing a client all the way through. So if I initiate, with somebody, they know me on some level and are comfortable with me. Like I said, we'd like to be very transparent. We want to be able to have great communication at all times. Since we do work with a lot of first responders, that could be any given time, any given day. And, we don't work 9-to-5 jobs. We're on all the time.
No doubt.
You mentioned something about first responders that was interesting earlier, is that they require a different level of transparency because of the mistrust that they're involved in, because they kind of see some of the lowest of humanity. They really do.
They absolutely do, and they need to have that extra level of comfort, if you will, provided to them. And we are at all of us in some way, shape, or form have family or friends in the business, and we're just very, very comfortable with them. And we have our fair share of interesting stories that we could talk about and discuss.
Oh, I'm sure we want to share some of those. A lot of you out there going, no, tell stories. We like stories. We know what's going on in the real estate industry. So, and Mark, you have nothing to do with, the law enforcement industry at all, of course, right?
Well, excuse me. Well, I had 36 years in law enforcement, and I was a commander of the Santa Clarita Valley CHP office. And when we talk about the trust issue or the relationship that we want to have with a homeowner or a purchaser, there's nothing more frustrating than to not understand what's going on and to have that ongoing communication with the home buyer. And that's one of the things at the HomeTeamSold.com is you want to have that ongoing communication, because a 30-day or a 45-day escrow to that home buyer can seem like an eternity if you don't have that ongoing communication.
Look at you, like a seasoned veteran.
There you go.
Okay, and I know we're hitting the nail on the head for you, Shannon, because you're all about that communication piece. How often would you communicate with your clients?
Several times a day, even at night, anytime they need a question answered or just to kind of vent about what their thoughts are, feelings, I'm there. Whether it's email, phone call, text.
So, and I would imagine that includes milestones, meaning anytime something throughout the transaction is happening, you reach out to them and explain to them what that means, because not everybody understands real estate. You get an appraisal, or they get this, or some contracts come in, or escrow paperwork. It's kind of nice to have somebody to hold their hand and say, don't worry about that. This is normal, and here's what it really means to you, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Yeah, I know that when I receive 500 pieces of paper, I don't want to read all 500 pieces of paper. I want someone to say, here's the top 10, and here's the next 10 that you probably should take the time to read. And that avoids, like we talked about, post-closing situations. We recently had a client that says, hey, I don't want to buy this house. And I said, well, why? I thought you thought it was beautiful. And he says, yeah, but there's this one area you can't park on in the cul-de-sac based on reading my HOA documents, and I'm not comfortable with that. And I said, wow, okay, well, that's pretty powerful, but most people don't even read the HOA documents.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, they have 5 cars and they're not allowed to park in front of their house. And like, what do we do with their other cars? But luckily they did read that. But that's where you have a professionals, and a real professional team goes, hey, by the way, we noticed this. It's going to affect you in any way, shape, or form.
You know, I see a lot of people coming at this transaction from different angles. You know, imagine being a buyer in particular. You know, communicating with their lender, communicating with my office, communicating with their realtors, and we all have different ways of saying the same thing. And so, consequently, the buyers are starting to get a little bit confused from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great when a team who communicates regularly together understands the dynamic of the transaction together and can set the stage together. And I think that's one of the things that sets this team apart from others is they do a really good job of doing that. So that's really cool to watch you guys set the tone for your clients up front so they know what's happening. And then, of course, as the team progresses through the transaction, update each other, and we all communicate with the buyer and or the seller at the same time with the same message, not delivering information that conflicts with each other. That's important.
No
Right.
doubt. And Steve, you hit the nail on the head, too. And I applaud all 3 of you in interrogating us, including Steve, and looking for a real team, because you're right. If say, escrow isn't doing their job with communicating and updating, or the lender is not communicating and updating on any party, meaning with you or the borrower, the transaction has a less chance of success.
Right, and I think a lot of people don't understand why we find it so important to work with affiliates that we choose. And part of that is just what you said, accountability, because you want to make sure that I'm happy, that the client's happy, and vice versa. So we all have the same goal in mind and at hand. And when you have that with all the moving parts, it keeps things very fluid and going. And like you said, it's a very overwhelming process to begin with.
Well, I know how passionate you were about, what is our processes, what is our team, how do we communicate, and how do we make sure we can support you and your team. And you asked a lot of great questions, which makes us very proud. I know, Steve, we only got a couple minutes, but I know you're happy to work with just the same. You think we all lenders and escrow just go, we'll take any business, but it's
No.
not true.
No,
True at all.
I made a mental conscious decision years ago. You can't be everything to everybody.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I look at this business actually as a partnership, and accordingly, I want to be partners with the people that we work with, because, like I said, you try to be everything to everybody, you dilute what you do. And I don't think that's efficient, and I don't think that's a fair thing to do to anybody in the line of communication. So, no, Don, you're right. I mean, I pride myself in working with professionals, and such. I dedicate myself and resources and time and heart and soul to what we do to make sure that at the end of the day, it's a very successful experience, and the buyers and sellers walk away going, "Wow, that team worked well together." That's the whole key.
Always eloquent, Mr. Steve Korn, owner of Newell Escrow. And we're here with a great team, the home team sold team, Marcella Puettmann, Shannon Travis, Mark Odell. We're going to be back because we have what's happening in the real estate market today. Also, big changes coming in the real estate industry. And if you don't know about them and your team doesn't know about it, they're going to affect you drastically. So don't go away. We'll share that with you when we come back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show.